There is a paradox that most of us have experienced. The harder you try to achieve something, the more you affirm that you do not yet have it. When you long for happiness, aren't you acknowledging your own unhappiness? When you desperately seek confidence, aren't you proving to yourself that you lack it? It is precisely this relentless pursuit that widens the gap between you and what you desire. Your reality is not an objective entity that exists independently of your mind. Rather, it is a direct reflection of your state of consciousness. If you constantly feel a sense of lack, you will only attract experiences that reinforce that belief. But if you live as if you already have enough, the world around you will naturally respond accordingly. Not every effort leads to better results. Some things in life only come to you when you stop searching for them. You cannot find peace by frantically chasing after it. You cannot attain true love through control or anxiety. Sometimes, what we need is not to try harder, but to learn to let go, accept, and allow things to unfold naturally. As Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." 1. Live from the finished results. There is a strange paradox in life. The more we crave something, the more we feel its absence. We embark on a journey to seek success, wealth, love, or recognition, but that excessive desire ironically pushes those things further away. The Stoics understood this very well. They did not pursue happiness as a distant destination, but chose to live in a state of already having it because they knew that the mind is what shapes reality. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." When you constantly think you lack money, you are merely reinforcing a sense of poverty in your mind. When you feel the need to be recognized, you unintentionally place yourself in a lower state, as if you are not yet worthy. But if you live as though you already have those things, you are no longer in a position to chase after them. You become the one in control. Imagine this: you want to have money. Most people immediately think of diving into work, grinding hard, and counting every penny with a fearful mindset. But if you act from a state of already having wealth, you won't just focus on making money. You will learn to manage, invest, and make wise decisions like a truly wealthy person. You won't spend out of fear of lacking, but you will spend consciously as if you are already in a state of abundance. And that mindset will attract opportunities, resources, and the right relationships to turn wealth into reality. Similarly, if you crave love but constantly feel emotionally deprived, you will unintentionally project insecurity in every relationship. You worry about gaining attention and you try to please others, but that only makes you weaker. However, if you live as though you already have enough love, you will no longer seek it externally. Instead, you will radiate the energy of wholeness. And when you are no longer dependent on others for validation, you become more attractive because you do not need someone else to complete you. How you perceive yourself right now is how the world will reflect back to you. Everything starts from your internal state, not from what you do externally. When you feel wealthy, you behave like a wealthy person, and that attracts wealth to you. When you feel at peace, you are no longer affected by the chaos of the outside world, and that peace becomes a powerful magnet. Conversely, if you always feel a sense of lack, you will remain in a constant state of chasing, never truly reaching what you desire. One crucial moment in the day when you can apply this principle is right before sleeping. What you think about before bed deeply imprints onto your subconscious. Instead of worrying about what you don't have, close your eyes, relax, and visualize your desires as if they have already come true. Not just a shallow imagination, but truly feeling it. If you want wealth, feel the joy of abundance. If you want a better job, picture the feeling of doing that job, being recognized and growing. Your mind does not distinguish between imagination and reality. It only reacts to what you believe to be true. And when you wake up the next day in that state, you will act from the mindset of someone who already has, rather than someone who is desperately longing. You can try this today. Stop searching for yourself. Stop chasing life as if you already have it. Only when you stop striving to possess something will you truly obtain it. When you realize that everything is already within you, the outside world can no longer control you. 2. Consciousness is the only reality. Have you ever wondered why some people always feel at peace, no matter how chaotic the world around them is? Why do some people remain steadfast even when everything seems to be falling apart? The answer doesn't lie in the external world, but in the state of consciousness within each person. Epictetus once said, "Man is disturbed not by things, but by the view he takes of them." This quote encapsulates the core spirit of Stoic philosophy. The external world does not directly cause our suffering, rather, it is our perception of it that determines our emotions and mental state. An event, by itself, holds no positive or negative meaning. It is our mind that assigns significance to it. If someone insults you, their words have no real power unless you allow them to affect you. If you fail at something, it does not define you as a failure unless you believe it to be true. This realization grants us control. Instead of trying to change our circumstances, we can change our perspective. When we master our thoughts, the world loses its ability to disrupt our inner peace. Imagine your life as a mirror. It does not create images, but merely reflects whatever is before it. If your inner world is filled with anxiety, fear, or self-doubt, the external world will mirror those emotions right back at you. But if you shift your consciousness, nurturing serenity, confidence, and decisiveness, the outer world will adjust accordingly, reflecting that inner strength. It is not the world that defines who you are. You are the one shaping your own reality. You don't need to struggle to change the world, nor do you have to force things to go your way. Just like flipping a light switch in a room, you don't need to create light. The light already exists, waiting to be activated. Similarly, confidence, calmness, and inner strength are not things you have to acquire forcefully. They are qualities you need to awaken within yourself. Once you align with the right mindset, the world will naturally adjust to reflect that state. This means you don't need to chase self-worth, success, or peace. The more you strive for them, the more you reinforce the belief that you don't already have them. But if you change your perception, walking as if you already embody peace and acting as if you are already successful, the world around you will respond in kind. Have you ever encountered someone who steps into a room with an undeniable presence? They don't speak too much, nor do they seek attention, yet people are naturally drawn to them. It's not an act, it's the result of a fully developed state of consciousness. They don't seek validation because they already know their worth. They don't need to fight for power because their presence itself exudes it. If you feel like something is missing in your life, respect, success, love, or peace, try stopping for a moment. Don't grasp at it as if you lack it. Instead, ask yourself, what is my consciousness reflecting into this world? If you shift the way you perceive yourself, if you become the person who already possesses what you desire, then the outside world has no choice but to mirror that back to you. So how do you truly embody this? How can your inner state of being become a natural part of you rather than just a temporary persona? The answer does not lie in force or control, but in a subtle internal shift. This is the key to what comes next. To truly transform your life, you cannot force yourself into a rigid framework. You cannot pressure yourself to be confident, to be successful, or to be at peace. So what is the right path to living the life you desire without falling into the trap of artificial effort? The answer may surprise you in the next part. 3. Not a forced action, but a natural action. There is a paradox that most of us have experienced. The harder we try to achieve something, the more it seems to elude us. It is the hidden despair within the excessive desire, the unnatural tension when we cling too tightly to a particular outcome. Stoic philosophy does not encourage us to abandon our goals, but it reminds us that when we stop grasping at results and allow things to unfold naturally, we will attain what we seek not through force, but through harmony with ourselves. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." What we pursue often does not cause us suffering on its own. Rather, it is our attachment to it that leads to anxiety and despair. When we believe we must obtain something at all costs, our minds become tense and overwhelmed. However, when we shift our perception, when we act without being bound by the outcome, everything flows in the most natural way. Nina, a woman living in California, wanted to sell her house. For months, she tried everything, posting advertisements, searching for buyers, lowering the price, and constantly pressuring real estate agents. But no one showed interest in her home. The more she tried, the more frustrated she became. She started doubting herself. Am I not doing enough? Am I not trying hard enough? Then one day, she changed her mindset. Instead of continuing to try to sell, she started living as if the house had already been sold. She cleaned, packed up her belongings, and put away her memories as if she were ready to move out. She no longer carried the mentality of having to sell at any cost, but simply acted as if the sale was already a done deal. Not long after, a buyer appeared. They loved the house and decided to purchase it almost immediately. Nina's shift in approach was not a miracle, but a mental transformation. When she stopped treating selling the house as a battle, she freed herself from stress and anxiety. More importantly, she created a natural energy that effortlessly attracted what she desired. The most powerful actions do not come from force, but from unwavering inner belief. A person does not need to prove their confidence by trying to appear powerful. They simply need to truly believe that they already possess it. An entrepreneur do not need to chase opportunities at all costs. They only need to know that the right opportunities will come when they are ready. A relationship does not need to be desperately held on to. When you stop trying to keep someone, you exude an irresistible energy that makes them want to stay. Stoic philosophy teaches us a simple principle: control what is within your power and accept what is beyond your reach. When we stop obsessing over outcomes, we free ourselves from pressure. When we no longer desperately strive for something, we create the conditions for it to appear naturally. This does not mean we should surrender or stop trying. On the contrary, we still take action, but we act from the mindset of someone who already possesses what they desire, not from a state of lack and longing. Artists do not need to force themselves to be creative when they are immersed in inspiration. Their work flows effortlessly. Athletes do not need to stress about winning when they compete with pure joy. they reach their optimal state. When you stop chasing desperately, you will feel free. When you live as if you already have what you desire, you liberate yourself from mental constraints. This is true not only in work, money, and personal goals, but in all aspects of life. Stillness holds power. A calm gaze can silence an entire room. A person who walks with inner confidence does not need to speak to prove their worth. And a person who truly believes they already have everything they need does not need to strive, because everything will come to them in the most natural way. Have you ever experienced a moment when, as soon as you stopped trying too hard, everything suddenly fell into place? Share your thoughts in the comments. 4. 3 levels of self-awareness. The truth is that most of our thoughts and actions occur on autopilot. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. Our habits, impulses, and reactions guide us through life so that we don't have to stop and consciously think about everything. The problem arises when we stay on autopilot for so long that we forget we are in autopilot mode. When we are no longer aware of our own habits, impulses, and reactions, we lose control over them. They start controlling us. Self-awareness is neither obvious nor easy to attain. It is a spiritual journey that each individual must embark on in order to truly live a meaningful life. According to Stoic philosophy and deeper mystical traditions, there are 3 levels of self-awareness that we need to understand to break free from autopilot and truly take control of our lives: the outer self, the inner self, and the divine self. First, the outer self is the persona we wear, the identity we use to interact with the world. It includes our social roles, status, profession, and the way we perceive ourselves through the eyes of others. This is where artificial selves are created. I am a businessman, I am a father, I am a success or a failure. These labels provide structure to help us navigate society, but when we cling to them for too long, they become a prison. When we become too attached to the outer self, our desires and social identities start to control us. We strive for recognition, money, and status, but the more we chase them, the emptier we feel. Only when we stop pursuing these external images can we begin to seek something deeper. From there, we enter the inner self, the observer, the deeper consciousness of who we truly are. This is where we confront ourselves, detached from the labels and judgments imposed by society. As self-awareness grows, we begin to clearly see our own psychological patterns. We no longer merely react on instinct, but start making conscious choices. But this is not easy. When we first step into the inner self, we may feel lost, even disoriented. We realize that many of our past decisions were nothing more than mechanical responses, shaped by fear and external expectations. This is the point where many people stop, retreating back into the outer self because it feels safe and predictable. However, for those who persist, a profound transformation unfolds. At the highest level, we touch the divine self, or the I Am, the true essence of each person as a part of universal consciousness. In this state, we are no longer bound by the past or the future, by desires or worries. This is the awakening that philosophers, sages, and enlightened beings have always sought. It is the realization that we do not need to strive to become anyone, for we already are ourselves in absolute wholeness. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." We waste time chasing external images, struggling to control the uncontrollable, and searching for happiness in things that cannot truly bring happiness. Yet, When we stop striving for it, when we let go, we realize that it has always been there. Happiness, peace, and freedom are not things to be pursued. They are things we must allow ourselves to feel. These three levels of self-awareness are not separate destinations, but a continuously unfolding cycle. Some days, we find ourselves trapped in the outer self. In fleeting moments, we catch a glimpse of the divine self. But what matters most is that we are aware of this movement. Because with awareness comes choice, and with choice comes freedom. 5. 3 barriers to overcome. After recognizing the 3 levels of self-awareness, let us turn to the 3 biggest barriers that one must overcome to truly be free. Identification with the body, identification with thoughts, and identification with the personal story. These barriers not only bind us within the limits we create for ourselves, but they also cause us to endlessly chase things that are beyond our control, leading us to get lost in confusion and insecurity. However, when we let go of desires, when we stop clinging to impermanent things, we will find ourselves steadfast, calm, and unmoved in the face of all events. Humans are not disturbed by external events, but by the way they perceive these events. We suffer not because the world is harsh, but because we attach ourselves to things that are not truly us. We identify with the body and panic when we see time stealing away our youth. We identify with our thoughts and get caught in a whirlwind of anxiety when our minds are constantly racing. We identify with the past and imprison ourselves in past pain. But if we can transcend these 3 barriers, peace will naturally come. First, identification with the body. Have you ever worried when you notice a new wrinkle on your face? Have you ever felt disheartened when standing in front of the mirror, comparing yourself to the perfect images on social media? If so, you are falling into the trap of identifying yourself with the body. The body is a tool, not your essence. It is born, changes, ages, and eventually fades away, but you do not. When you are overly concerned with your appearance, you are giving control over your emotions to something impermanent. Stoics understand that the body is only a small part of the experience of life, not the core value. Imagine walking into a room full of strangers. Do you feel uneasy about how they might judge your appearance? If so, ask yourself, does it really matter? Can a few glances define who you are? If you are still overly concerned with your appearance, it means you have not fully mastered your self-esteem. A truly strong person does not seek validation from the outside world, but understands that their value does not lie in a finite form. Sure, here's the translation of the text into English. Second, identification with thoughts. Have you ever felt like your mind is too noisy? Worries, anxieties, and fears keep popping up uninvited, making you feel exhausted. The more you try to control them, the more intense they become. Thoughts are not you. They are merely products of the mind, an endless stream that you cannot stop, but you can observe them instead of being swept away by them. A Stoic philosopher understands that the mind is a tool, not the master. You can use it for analysis and reflection, but you shouldn't let it control your emotions. Imagine you're in an important meeting. A colleague sharply criticizes your work. Your mind immediately reacts. They are criticizing me. I'm not good enough. Everyone will think less of me. But if you separate yourself from those thoughts, you'll realize they are just echoes in your head. That criticism could simply be an opinion, not the truth about you. By not identifying with your thoughts, you'll have the freedom to respond calmly and wisely. Third, identification with personal stories. Have you ever thought that past hurts have shaped who you are? that previous failures proof that you'll never achieve what you want? If so, you're allowing your personal story to control your life. The past is an old book, but you are not the pages in it. You can learn from it, but you shouldn't be trapped by it. A Stoic doesn't deny the past, but they don't let it define the future. Every moment in the present is an opportunity to change, to shape the person you want to become. Imagine you failed in an important project. You feel less confident, fearing that you'll fail again next time. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, does the past really have the power to dictate the future? Or is it just a story you keep repeating in your head? Strong people don't let old hurts pull them down. They understand that, no matter how many failures, they can still rise up and continue writing their own story. When you stop identifying with the body, you will find true confidence. When you stop identifying with thoughts, you will achieve peace of mind. When you stop identifying with the past, you will take control of your future. You don't need to seek anything, because everything you need is already within you. So, have you ever overcome any of the 3 barriers mentioned above, or are you still struggling with one of them? Please share your thoughts in the comments. 6. How to apply this philosophy. We dive into the race, trying to control everything, forcing ourselves to achieve the desired results. However, it is precisely at the moment we stop trying too hard that what we long for comes closer than ever before. This is the mystery of Stoic philosophy that we can apply to life. This doesn't mean giving up all efforts, but rather a transformation from within, where we learn to stand outside the storms of emotions, recognize our true nature, and act from there. One of the key elements that helps you avoid struggling through life is the ability to stay aware. Stoic philosophy teaches that you are not what is happening around you. You are the observer, the quiet self, not swept up in the current of emotions or external circumstances. Imagine a moment in life when everything seems to be falling apart around you. Work is not going as expected, relationships are facing troubles, or simply a day when you feel uneasy. Instead of being swept away by the emotional storm, stand outside all of it and look at it with clarity. You are not the tears or the disappointment in that moment. You are the observing awareness, the mindfulness within your mind. When you can maintain calmness in difficult situations, you will realize that peace is not something that comes from the outside, but rather an internal state. In this way, you are no longer a victim of circumstances. You can see the issue clearly, unaffected by emotions, and this helps you make wise decisions and act with better judgment. Next, when we realize that we are the observer and not the emotions, we can choose the state of consciousness we want to maintain throughout life. Choosing a state of being does not mean rejecting emotions or dreaming of a perfect world, but rather accepting reality as it is and then deciding how you want to respond. In life, every moment is an opportunity for you to decide the state you want to live in. You can choose to live in anxiety, stress, and despair, or you can choose to live in peace, confidence, and proactivity. This choice is entirely in your hands. When you truly understand that you have the power to decide your own state, you will realize that nothing outside of you can disturb your inner peace unless you allow it. Finally, one of the most powerful practices to apply the philosophy of stop trying to get it and you'll have it is to live as if the goal has already been achieved. This means that before you reach your goal, imagine and feel that you have already completed it. This practice is not just about dreaming of the good things you'll have, but about deeply feeling the joy, pride, and serenity that you will experience when you achieve it. When you live as if the goal is already completed, you no longer feel lacking or insecure. You have already felt the joy of achieving the goal, and this feeling will drive you to act confidently, strongly, and with faith. Feeling it before achieving what you desire is a subtle strategy that helps you not only attract what you long for, but also helps you feel abundant right in the present moment. Once you understand and practice these principles, you will feel an invisible power within yourself. You will understand that you are the one who creates all the changes in your life. And that is when you truly realize, I am the power. This phrase is not just a declaration of personal strength, but a reminder of the limitless potential you possess to create everything you desire in life. When you truly understand this, you will no longer have to search outside yourself, because you know that the power to change and achieve everything is already within you. Certainly, when you start living with this philosophy, you will see a dramatic transformation in your life. Your power does not lie in relentless effort, but in the ability to let go, live in stillness, and trust yourself. And when you realize that you have the power to choose, you will discover that everything you seek is drawing closer than ever before. 7. The meaning of the sentence, I am the power. There is a powerful quote that all of us need to remember: the greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it. Skillful pilots gain their reputation from storms and tempests. Epictetus. This quote by the Stoic philosopher Epictetus affirms the inner strength of every individual, that difficulties are not something to fear, but rather an opportunity to assert oneself. And the strong affirmation, I am the power, is the first step on the path to recognizing your own power. We are often taught that strength is something to be sought, achieved, or even accumulated over time. This is a profound misunderstanding, as true strength never comes from the outside. It is not a gift someone gives us or a condition we must attain. Strength is already within each of us, waiting to be recognized and developed. And when you realize that you are the source of everything, you will stop seeking recognition or affirmation from the outside. You do not need to become someone you are not, because you are everything you need to succeed and rise. The phrase, I am the power, is not just an empty statement. It is a firm declaration of confidence and the innate ability you have always possessed. It is not, I will become strong, but rather, I am strong. When you realize that strength is already within you, you no longer need to strive to achieve it. It is not something that can be bought or learned from a book. You simply need to recognize that you already carry within you all the abilities to create the life you want. In every moment of life, strength does not come from external factors. It is the patience on difficult days, the determination when everything around you seems to be collapsing. Strength is not about winning every battle, but about your ability to rise and keep fighting, no matter how big the challenges are. You do not need to seek strength elsewhere, because you are the origin of that strength. Your strength is infinite, and once you recognize it, you can overcome any challenge in life. One of the biggest changes you need to make in order to truly feel your power is to change the way you perceive yourself. Every change in life starts with changing your perception of yourself. When you change the way you think about yourself, the world around you will also change. That is why asserting yourself with the phrase, I am the power, is so important. This is not just a declaration of strength, but also a reminder of your responsibility to yourself. We often measure our strength by what we achieve, by the victories we gain in life. However, what matters is not the final result, but the process we go through to achieve it. It is in those moments when you feel weak and lost that your inner strength will shine the most. This is when you need to remind yourself, I am the power. When you become self-aware and affirm yourself as a source of infinite power, you will no longer fear failure. You will understand that failure is merely a step on the path of learning and growth. Every time you stumble, you will rise stronger, more resilient, and know that it all comes from within you. The affirmation, I am the power, is also a form of liberation. You no longer have to bear the pressure of others' expectations or those of society. You no longer need to follow the standards set by others. Instead, you will focus on your own personal development and see everything in life as an opportunity to affirm your own strength. When you are no longer bound by external factors, you will be freer and stronger than ever before. Ultimately, to achieve the strength you seek, you must trust in yourself. Do not let anyone or anything make you doubt your own abilities. Remember that you are the power, a strength no one can take away, an endless power that you always carry within you. Live with that belief and let it guide you through every challenge in life. The message, stop trying to get it and you'll have it, is not just a reminder to let go, but also a confirmation of the power of patience and self-respect. Through Stoic philosophy, we learn how to control our emotions and not let desire and ambition sweep us away. When we stop trying too hard and let go, the universe will find a way to bring what we deserve to us. Silence, calmness, and acceptance of circumstances are the elements that help us maintain inner strength and dignity in every situation. So, do you believe that by stopping the excessive striving, you will achieve what you desire? Leave your answer in the comments below. 1. Yes. 2. No. If you found this message valuable, don't forget to like and share the video to spread these positive thoughts to those around you. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any upcoming motivational videos. Keep following us to explore more Stoic philosophies that will help you live a life of peace and inner strength.